So let's open with the prayer. The first page, of course. This is from Saint Irenaeus. He was a very ancient saint. He was bishop of a town, Lyon, in southern France. And I think he was 2nd or 3rd century. So it is not you that shapes God. It is God that shapes you. If you are the work of God, await the hand of the artist, who does all things in due season. Offer him your heart, soft and tractable, and keep the form in which the artist has fashioned you. Let the clay be moist, lest you grow hard, and lose the imprint of his fingers. So this week we continue to talk about the 10 Commandments. Most of you weren't there, but yesterday Father Zach had a really good mission where he talked about the deadly sins, and it was really interesting. I think, Vicki, you could have used it. He talked about driving. Getting angry at driving. Now the 6th commandment, we're up to commandment number 6 already. You shall not commit adultery. And I'm reading from the Gospel of Matthew, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And he said to them, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments depend all the law and the prophets. So, we're talking about adultery, but we're also talking about love. And one of the things I remember Father Zach saying is that the reason people fall into infidelity is because they become bored with each other. Maybe for a time people are interested, but they're only superficially interested. And then after a while, then they become disloyal. And it's the point is you should definitely try to look at people, look at other people, and look into the depth of their being. Because nobody is really boring. Nobody thinks of themselves as boring. And you need to recognize that. And if you ever feel like you're getting to the point where, hey, I'm not necessarily talking about adultery, but where you might be disloyal to another person, where you have a friend, but they're beginning to bore you, try to look more deeply into them. And maybe you'll see a reflection of yourself in all of that. So really, the question comes down how to live and love, maybe the most generous, loving life we can come down to. And what is love? And again, you can look at love in a very superficial way, or you can look at it as a reflection of what God has given us. And you can't love unless you've been loved, unless you're reflecting God's love, your parents' love of other people. And adultery is something that violates a loving relationship. The marriage bond between baptized people are sanctified by the sacrament of matrimony, and it's a promise of love. On the second page, you see this painting. And if you've ever heard of a famous Italian poet, Dante. Dante wrote a 3-part book where he is given a tour, in effect, of hell, purgatory, and heaven. And in it, it's a long, really a poem. It's written in that manner. And he goes through and he meets these people in hell. They're in various circles of hell. And to Dante, I guess, the punishment always fits the crime. So when he sees them in hell, what they're suffering is a result of the sins they've committed. So here we have one of the circles of hell, and the lustful are there. And what are they doing? They're being swept along in this wind. Because in their lives, they've never been steady. They've never been faithful. They've been sort of like chasing around from one from one experience to the next. And that's what this is depicting. And, in the front, you see these two people sort of standing and looking at him. One of those would be Dante being given a tour, this tour guide, which is it's a very interesting poem. So, God created everything as an expression of his self-emptying love. And the love of God is faithful and enduring. And that's how God's love comes to us. And that's how we should reflect it to other people. Our love shouldn't be transitory. Just something that is sort of a whim. So in the Catechism, it says, fidelity expresses constancy in keeping one's given word. God is faithful. The sacrament of matrimony enables man and woman to enter into Christ's fidelity for his church. Through conjugal chastity, they bear witness to this mystery before the world. St. John Chrysostom suggests that young husbands should say to their wives, I have taken you in my arms, and I love you, and I prefer you to my life itself. For the present life is nothing. My most ardent dream is to spend it with you in such a way that we may be assured of not being separated in the life reserved for us. I place your love above all things, and nothing would be more bitter or painful to me than to be of a different mind than you. So I thought that was very, very beautiful. Any comments, questions, anything anyone wants to say about love? God, go ahead.
No. No, I just think that so many people don't know what love is because they don't realize the love they have from God because he's invisible, so it's like there's a disconnect and everything on earth is so physical. And when you don't, you said like on the first page, when you don't feel love, and you don't feel like you're loved, then you can't love other people because there's just no love. But it's hard when you don't feel the love from God, but even though he does love you because we can't see him. But when you start learning about him and start feeling the love, then that's when you start knowing him, and then you start feeling loved.
That's why marriage classes are so important, because too many today get married till divorce do us part instead of get married till death do us part.
Yeah, it's not a feeling. Love is not a feeling. It's an actual will.
Right.
Because your feelings go up and down. You guys, how long you guys been married? Sometimes you're just like, just let me get away for 5 minutes. But it doesn't mean, boom, I want a divorce. But so many people do. It's like you get mad at somebody, oh, they don't make me happy anymore. I want a divorce. No.
Well, part of that's because the focus is on the self and how the self reacts to it. Everyone wants, you give me this, you give me this, you give me this. And when they quit getting what they want from the person, every day, whether it be gifts, money, whatever, then they give up. Or they don't understand it's what you're willing to give up for someone that really matters. It's the sacrifice that proves love. Not the presence, it's the sacrifice.
I didn't think about a book because I have a book called 3 to Get Married by Bishop Fulton J. Sheen. And not even in the body of the book, it's like in the introduction, he's talking about how the difference between love and lust and your initial reaction. He says it goes down, your lustful things will last for about 2 years, and then you're off to the next thing. And there's someone that I know who's pretty regular with every couple of years, boom, it's somebody different, so.
I
It must
know
be
people
Miss
like
Payne.
it, even in my own family.
Somebody is you. Paul says somebody is him. He's making a joke.
So God invites all persons to share and participate in his act of creation. God didn't make the world perfect so that we can make it. so that we can come in, and it wouldn't be perfect, we can make it more perfect. Or more what God had in mind. So God called to give life, spouses share in the creative power and fatherhood of God. Married couples should regard it as their proper mission to transmit human life and to educate their children. They should realize that they are thereby cooperating with the love of God the Creator and are, in a certain sense, its interpreters. They will fulfill this duty with a sense of human and Christian responsibility. I'm asking here, what does this tell us about God? But I've already sort of given you the answer. I think it's kind of answered. And God's love is faithful to us. So it's a kind of love that, I mean, you can see it in the world because church is the body of Christ, but you have to look in the world. You can't just look at yourself. So the next commandment is, thou shalt not steal. And here's another painting from Dante's Inferno. It's a man being turned into a lizard.
A lizard?
A lizard.
I like lizards. Lizards are cute.
Now, why would that happen?
A lizard.
Why do you think they'd be turned to a lizard though if they were thief?
A lizard is a weird thing to become
I kind of want to be a lizard.
because lizards have eyes on both of the sides of the head.
I think that's a chameleon.
Oh, that's coming.
People who steal are taking other people's property. So Dante's idea for this circle of hell is that since they're taking other people's property in their lives, in hell, what happens is their bodies are taken away from them. They become, a lizard, become something else, become something less. So that's his punishment fits that crime. And so when we think about stealing, think about maybe people's labor. I mean, we're just talking about creation as it relates to adultery and love, but labor is a means of sharing, another means of sharing in God's act of creation. John Paul II wrote that, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. That's from the Bible. Even though these words do not refer directly and explicitly to work, beyond any doubt, they indirectly indicate it as an activity for man to carry out in the world. In carrying out this mandate, man, every human being, reflects the very action of the Creator of the universe. So, when we're laboring, we're imitating God, and we're trying to create something. And when somebody steals, they're stealing your creation. And they're stealing somebody's creation. It might not always seem like it like that, but if somebody were to make you do something for even a half an hour that you didn't want to do, but you have to do it, well, that's kind of a minor form of enslavement. And you wouldn't like that very well. When somebody steals, that's what they're doing. They're taking not just an object, but they're taking a half hour or whatever it might be of somebody's time and making it into their own. And so it's very disrespectful. And because people see stealing as objects and not really other people, they don't realize that, but that's what it is.
It's also judgmental.
Stealing is judgmental.
Yeah, because you're judging that person isn't worthy of the object or whatever you're stealing as the thief is,
Yeah.
So you're actually saying that they're less than you because you should have that, they should not.
But if you're stealing it,
Question.
No, if I stole from you.
If you know that somebody else
You're
stole
not
something,
just-
is it
I
okay
am.
to steal that from them? Because you're not stealing from their
See what I'm
labor
saying?
because they stole it in the first place.
Say, this is your
That's a philosophical question for you.
Well, legally, if
Yeah, that's a
they
judgment.
stole it, it's not theirs. So if you steal from them, you're stealing from the person who originally.
Oh, very good answer, Paul.
Thank you very
Good
much.
answer.
But you can always return it to the person.
That's okay, yeah, you can steal it back and return it to where you know it belongs.
It's really stealing if you say you stole though. Like if I ever heard, I'm gonna steal your pot, okay? Okay?
Don't take her balloon.
No, if you're stealing, don't ask them if it's okay, 'cause sometimes-
So I'm saying, okay, no, nothing.
You know, as I was saying, when we steal, we take another person's labor. You know, when people shoplift, if you think about it, that's taking money away from the company, and that money could be spent, you know, maybe for better pay or improvements of the store, or, you know, anything like that.
Lower prices.
Lower prices, yeah, because they have to increase prices, because they assume so much is gonna walk out. So, as I was saying, stealing forces a person to work without pay to some extent. However true it may be that man is destined to work and called to it, in the first place, work is for man and not man to work. So, you know, we talk about people having to work, and certainly sloth is a bad thing. But on the other hand, you shouldn't be working constantly. I mean, the whole idea of having a Sabbath, or having a Sunday, and taking some time off is to remind yourself that, you know, you come before your work. And when work is thought of as well, man is thought of as an instrument to produce something, and certainly stealing maybe isn't so bad. Because it'd be like stealing from a machine, but we're not machines. We're people.
We are humans.
We're what?
We're humans.
Humans, yes.
It's a funny way to say human. Human.
Humans.
Yeah. Funny way to say human. It's funny.
So maybe you have some people you can think of, famous people. Material goods and labor improve many problems in life, but they don't solve everything. So stealing isn't going to solve everything. And they might even make some problems worse. And you think about some people who seem to have everything and they're still kind of miserable. I mean, this past week you had something with the royal family was happening.
Yeah.
I've been watching that.
We fought a war to get rid of them.
Poor Prince Harry, he's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
He's got freckles, leave him alone.
Harry Potter?
No, Prince Harry.
Yeah.
No, didn't he leave the royal family, so he's
Yeah.
not prince anymore?
He's still prince, but he's not,
He's not his Royal
he
Highness.
don't have
Prince.
he don't have the duties of a prince anymore,
Yeah.
because he stood by his wife.
Mm-hmm.
They were making her miserable.
We not only labor for ourselves, if you think about labor, but we labor for others and for our communities. So this next quote is from Pope Francis. I kind of like it because it relates to some things we see, you know, around here and in our parishes. Society is also enriched by a countless array of organizations which work to promote the common good and defend the environment, whether natural or urban. Some, for example, show concern for a public place, a building, a fountain, an abandoned monument, a landscape, a square, and strive to protect, restore, improve, beautify it as something belonging to everyone. Around these community actions, relationships develop or are recovered, and a new social fabric emerges. Thus, the community can break out of the indifference induced by consumerism. These actions cultivate a shared identity with a story that can be remembered and handed on. In this way, the world and the quality of life of the poor are cared for with a sense of solidarity which is at the same time aware that we live in a common home which God has entrusted to us. And I'm reminded of our church restoration, which we did, 15 years ago? A little less than that. And Yeah, and people, turned out and they did a lot of work for about a year long, and it was tremendous. You see people coming and doing all this work, and it really helped people, I think, get to know each other and to feel like the parish was theirs.
It is.
Mhm.
And we saved, how much did you say we saved? We saved a ton of money by having people who knew how to do it. We ripped up the wood floors because there were termites, and they laid cement, so we got cement floors now. They put tile down. We ripped off the carpeting up by the altar. There used to be red carpeting. And we ripped all that up, and then we were sanding, you were sanding, and then we were staining, putting fresh stain on them. And this one lady got the carpets that are up there that the altar sits on, and then there's another one up by where the sanctuary is, where the tabernacle is. But we did most of it ourselves. There was only, who did we have? We had to get somebody in to pay, to do something professional, but it was just, I was amazed that the people just came together and did the work ourselves. Broke it off, this quarter, the back quarter, this back quarter, the front quarter, the other front quarter, just blocked it off, and people had to sit in different spots, but.
Well, the other thing is by giving themselves to the church, instead of getting things to give themselves, it probably made a difference in all the workers' lives as much as it did in the church.
Oh, yeah, because it's like the people that built the church, they're not here anymore.
Mhm.
But the people who worked on the church, when they're gone, their product will be left because the church is still standing in good shape and everything. And it's just, it's a participation, it's community, that's our church. The priests come and go. I hope ours stays a long time.
Me too.
Me too.
But,
I see people come in and out of the store all the time, and they're the same people. They come in and they buy something and they return it because it didn't make them happy. Buy something, return it, didn't make them happy. And it's like this endless cycle, because buying stuff and consumerism and giving to yourself never makes you as happy as giving it away.
Yeah, I remember a question once about consumerism where a writer asked, are you being a consumer or are you being consumed?
That's a very good question.
And, following up on what Vicki was talking about, you see people out there, like Tony, you see him shoveling snow or picking up, they come out here and pick up trash. These are people, he and his mother, and they sit up in the front on the Mary side. And well, there's so many people that give their time and energy and doing all sorts of different things. It's great to see. So, our labors of charity not only improve our community and help others, they help us see others differently. They help us see the love in others, which is what I was talking about earlier. And here's something from C.S. Lewis. The difference between being a Christian man and a worldly man is not that the worldly man has only affections and the Christian man has only charity. The worldly man treats certain people kindly because he likes them. The Christian treats everyone kindly, I guess even if he doesn't like them. Finds himself liking more and more people as he goes on, including people he could not have imagined liking at the beginning. So maybe you start off not liking certain people or not liking somebody, and then you get to know them a little bit better. And by doing that, you get to see, in a sense, you're not as bored with them. You understand them a little more deeply. So, I have a question in there. What does the seventh commandment tell us about God? And again, I think I've given you the answer. We've talked about God and God's creativity. And you can see God's creativity in what other people are doing. So any other comments, any questions? We have plenty of snacks here, so we can take a short break, get some more coffee. Our 8 commandments, there's 3 to go, right? You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. In other words, don't lie. And again, we have this painting of from Dante's Inferno. Impersonators running through hell, attacking falsifying. Which, when you impersonate somebody, you're lying, or falsify, or making things up.
Hey, it's okay with the wolf.
So these people are just running around attacking people by doing this, and so that's what happens to the person who's lying all the time. They get attacked. It's important to remember that God is truth. God doesn't lie to us. And sometimes people will say, well, why did God make this happen? Well, God didn't so much make it happen, he allowed it to happen, and he didn't hide it from us. He didn't lie to us about it. So from the Gospel of John, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. And a little further along in John, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth. And the truth will set you free. So that talks about how important the truth is, in knowing the truth. Treating another person as an equal requires honesty and recognition of his or her freedom. So if you tell a person the truth, you're recognizing him as an equal. That's what everybody wants. Nobody wants to be lied to. And God treats us with this respect, and we ought to treat other people with this kind of respect. God doesn't force us to believe in him or to worship him. I mean, God doesn't really need us to worship him. In the ancient pagan world, they imagined God as somebody who was demanding things of them. But well, that doesn't make any sense, because God has everything. What do you get a person who has everything? But God, because he has everything, is willing to give us things, and be generous with us. And one of the things he's generous with is he's generous with the truth. So when we lie, we deny another person the opportunity to make an informed judgment. We're saying, okay, I know better than you, so I'm going to lie to you to get you to do what I want. That's more or less what a lie is. And when you do that, well, you're saying the other person isn't going to make the right decision, for one thing. And you're saying your decision is necessarily going to be better than theirs. And you're also denying, even if they made the mistake, you're denying them the opportunity to learn from their mistake. I mean, it's sort of like coddling a person when you lie to them and say, okay, I know you're going to do this wrong, so I'm going to tell you something else. So, and there's, I suppose, what I call white lies, minor lies that people tell once in a while, and then there's more serious lies. But you need to get in the habit, even with small lies, of telling the truth, because then the habit will continue. And I think people, when they often get into trouble, is because they tell a lot of small lies, and they, okay, it doesn't matter. And then once maybe they come across a case where it really does matter, and they're called it a lie, and gee, I didn't really mean to be that dishonest. But if you build this habit in yourself, that's what happens. So are we sure of our judgment? Our judgment is better than those we lie to? Can you be sure of that? Ask yourself that question. Or are we being overprotective or preventing others from making a mistake and learning from it? Are we being lazy and not trying to get our way without convincing somebody else and giving them a chance to convince us? So, you just lie and you try and say, okay, that's the end of the argument. And maybe the other person knows something that you don't know. And if you gave them the chance to argue with you, they would convince you. So you're not only denying them the chance to learn, you're denying yourself the chance to learn. So for all those reasons, lying is bad. Even small lies become a habit. Yes, ma'am.
What if you're lying to not hurt someone's feelings?
So somebody puts on an ugly hat and they say, how do I look? And you instead of saying, boy, that's ugly, you say, oh, that's beautiful. Well, how would you handle that?
White lie.
You could, but then they're gonna go
I
out
would tell them they
to,
look better in a different hat.
You turn it around and say, well, how do you think it looks?
yeah. I mean, the problem with telling them that's beautiful is that they're gonna go out and everybody's gonna say, what an ugly hat.
Tell them they look better in a different
Well,
hat.
Or you can say something like, well, it's not my favorite, but if you like it.
I like that.
Try and explain why you don't like it. I mean, try and say, that doesn't match your eyes, or, whatever. Why don't you like it? Think about that. If somebody is doing something and you don't want to hurt their feelings, well, okay, maybe one way of not hurting their feelings is to think about what they're doing, why you don't, not exactly why you don't want to hurt their feelings, but why telling the truth would hurt their feelings. Why does the truth hurt somebody's feelings? Yes.
What if someone lied about hurting someone's feelings?
What was the question?
Okay. There's a person we all know that sometimes pretends to have her feelings hurt. And she wants to know if is it bad to lie about that? To say your feelings are hurt when they're not.
Yeah, I would say it's bad. You're not telling people the truth. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, why would you want other people to think your feelings are hurt?
So they feel sorry for you?
Or that they can get the attention that they want, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be actually bad if someone faked to hit someone in the face, but that person thought that person actually hit that person in the face and told on that person at school. That would be actually very rude.
Yeah. This actually happened.
What happened to my friend at class that was named Nick?
Were you involved?
Yeah.
What happened?
I saw Dawson hit Nick, but it was a fake hit, and Nick was crying, but he didn't even get hit. He told on Dawson.
Well, did you let
Tried
the
to
teacher
do-
know that he was lying?
Yeah.
Good job. All right.
So he's just trying to get the other kid in trouble.
Yeah. And you think about this, well, these are just kids, but adults do this, they fake. It's more subtle. We get better at it, I guess, as we get older, worse at it.
Right. People like post stuff on Facebook,
Mhm.
like, for a husband, you're in trouble when you ask your wife what's wrong.
Sometimes it's important to know though.
Do you have a problem? She goes, no, I'm fine. So then you're in trouble.
It's pretty.
And what's the other more common one? When a wife asks her husband, does this make me look fat? If it does, what's the husband to say?
The right answer is, you always look beautiful to me.
And that's true. I mean, the beauty is in her, right?
Yeah, exactly. You say, you always
Sounds
look
like your
beautiful to me.
dad.
Yeah,
Who do you think
it's not.
told my dad what the right answer was? I helped him out.
And the right, we're talking about communication here. The right to communicate the truth is not unconditional. So it's not like you have to tell everybody everything. And you promise to keep a secret, or you're bound to not tell somebody, or just judge that, somebody wants to know what the safe combination, I don't know, something like that. You don't have to tell everybody everything. But everybody needs to conform his life to the Gospels and the precepts of fraternal love. This requires us in concrete situations to judge whether or not it's appropriate to reveal the truth to somebody who asks it. And if you think about how Christianity spread in the early days, it was spread by saints and martyrs who bore witness to the truth of the gospel, even to the point of death. So we know Christ was God because he died on the cross for us. I mean, why would you do that if you didn't really love us? And that's the same thing. Saints are thought of as a kind of Christ, as an image of Christ, because they're dying for the truth of Christ. And by refusing to lie, which is generally a lie would get a saint out of being martyred, but by refusing that, they show people that they're serious. And many of the saints gained a great deal of respect from the torturers and the people who were killing them. And they were saying, well, this is a good person, and they obviously believe what they're saying, so maybe I should take it more seriously. And in the long run, that really helped Christianity. Martyrdom, this kind of dying, is a supreme witness given to the truth of faith. It means bearing witness even until death. The martyrs bear witness to Christ, who died and rose, to whom he is united in charity. He bears witness to the truth of faith and of the Christian doctrine. He endures death through an act of fortitude. So, telling the truth tells us something about God. So any questions you have about this week? Yes?
Question, when does a lie become a lie? Like, the example you gave, if they're, like, say my hat is my hat nice, looks nice or not? And you say, no, but it's still a lie. So when do you know if you're telling a lie?
So to use that example, you have a hat, and you say, does this hat look nice? And I look at it. Okay, well, maybe I'll look at it and I'll think, or maybe I just won't even notice it. So I think about it a little bit, and my immediate reaction is one thing. Then I think about it a little bit, and maybe it doesn't look so bad. So what should I say? And maybe I'll say, let me think about it. Or
does the lie become a lie when you say the lie? Or if you keep it to yourself, is it still?
I think you have to say it or communicate it somehow for it to be a lie.
Yeah. You have to know it's not true.
Yeah.
Because if you say something and you don't know it's not true, you know what I mean? Like you might say, that's fine. And then later on you look at it and it's not fine. That's not a lie. But if you look at it and you say it's fine, knowing that it's the grossest thing you've ever seen, all right, then that makes it an immediate lie.
Yeah, because
truth
the
can
issue of a
change.
hat is not that
Yeah.
big of a deal.
Yeah, but truth can change,
And you're trying to keep your friend from feeling bad, or also, we're scared of somebody getting mad at us if we tell them, no, I don't like it particularly, and then they'll get mad at us. So that's another reason that we'll do the little white lies to protect ourselves, because we don't want somebody to get mad at us. Because again, Paul's talking about that communication, and we lost that art of discussing things without arguing or getting mad. But you have to verbalize it.
A lie is still a lie. I mean, you
Yeah,
have to confess
yeah.
it.
That's
Even a
why I
small
said
minor one, you have to say,
you
you're
work
out.
around it so that you're not out.
Exactly.
But that's a matter of taste, the hat thing, that's,
Yeah.
you like my hat? Not really. But if you like it, it's fine for you, go on.
That's what it does. Just sometimes it's just the way you answer it.
Yeah,
True.
it's certain things.
But if you say it's one thing and it's obviously not, and everybody in the world will see that it's obviously not. Wouldn't that be a lie? You know for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say a more serious thing would be, where's this thing up here where you don't have, okay, go ahead.
How can you find out if someone's lying?
Well, they're trying to keep you from finding that out, so it's not easy.
Yeah, it's hard to.
There's tells, I'll help you.
Yeah, where was it? It was up here that somebody has a right to know. And now you go back to in the World War II when people were hiding Jews and the Nazis would come and say, do you have any Jews hiding here? And I'm not sure if Father watches this, he can correct me, but I thought that if someone does not have a right to know that information, you can lie about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can think of a James Bond movie or something like that, where you have these secret agents that basically always lie. But, yeah, and so if the Nazis knocked on your door and they say, okay, where is the priest, or something like that, and you don't want to tell them that, you really can't say, well, you don't have the right to know. They're not gonna buy that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And,
Here it is, it's in the caption.
so you might have to, there's times you might not, it does get complicated, because if you think you know their reaction, you might say, if I tell them the truth, something bad is gonna happen, but if I tell them a lie, something good is gonna happen. Well, you're making a lot of suppositions there, but if you're confident enough of that, well,
Sometimes you do
Go
have
for
to
it.
choose between the lesser of two evils. Lie or get the priest killed in this case.
yeah, and well, it's a judgment. Don't do something, I mean, we said earlier that, the right to communication of truth is not unconditional.
It says this requires us in concrete situations to judge whether or not it is appropriate to reveal the truth to someone who asks for it.
True, but I think it's also appropriate to just not tell the truth, and
Yeah,
tell a
yeah.
lie, if you're willing to make certain suppositions where the lie actually leads to a greater good. Which is dangerous, but,
Well, it's dangerous, you still gotta confess it.
yeah. So I think there's been good discussion.
Things to think about this week, it's.
I do believe
You want
sometimes
to
there's
be kind,
a
but you
lesser
don't
of
want to
two
be.
evils.
We're gonna lie to the priest. And then tell the priest at confession that you lied to get him saved.
I should not go easy on you, Bob.
In 3 weeks, there's gonna be the Easter Vigil, and that'll be 9 o'clock here. And if you're part of the vigil, show up at 8 o'clock.
That's in the evening, right?
That's in the evening, yes.
Okay.
Not morning.
I made sure I got the time off.
Okay. And, yeah, and we'll have to be here at 8 o'clock. We'll have a short prayer service and,
Ray will probably be here.
Ray, I hope Ray's
Yeah.
here and that's the thing. I presume.
Now, that's when they get baptized, right? And
Yes.
then he goes for a first communion, right?
Yes,
Okay.
But when are they getting baptized?
He just told us, Easter Vigil.
Easter
Oh, they're gonna
Vigil.
get baptized
That's
during that
Saturday
too?
night
Yes.
mass,
Yeah,
where it's
my
all,
girls.
where we start out all dark and everybody has the candles and the
Yeah.
church lights up.
And you won't need to make a confession before your baptism.
Mhm.
So you don't have to worry about that. I'll have to talk to Sonia and make sure Heather knows it. And the rest of you are being confirmed by the bishop. You can tell me if you like.
Well, she won't get a confirmation, though, she's too young for that, is she? Heather?
I
I think
believe
we
so.
need confirmation.
I think she's gonna get bam, 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 isn't she? All three? Triple play?
She's 10, so I don't know if she starts good, but don't the other ones start at like
I was-
13?
Yeah, I was confirmed when I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the 5th grade, but they
So-
pushed it up to like 7th and 8th grade because my grandson's got.
Yeah, so I'm trying to determine what's best, what you guys want to do with her. It would be fine with me, whatever, you know.
Okay, well, I'll ask Father Ryan. Father Ryan will probably have the mass that evening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, do we have to be here Saturday?
Saturday night.
Are you gonna be, or is Paula gonna be here, she's gonna be confirmed by the bishop, or? Do you
Yeah,
know?
you just need confirmation.
First communion and confirmation.
Oh, okay. So, let me check with Father Ryan. I think he would get that here, I think.
You said it was Saturday?
Yeah. But I'll have to check on that.
At 9 o'clock.
But we don't do ours
It
during
was,
Easter.
I'm sorry.
You're,
We don't do ours during Easter.
Yeah.
yeah, I know you're,
Well,
You
you
come
come
here.
here at 8, that would be
Just-
good.
Heather and Ray are there.
Yeah.
They're young,
Yeah,
but we're not me.
Yeah, you're just getting confirmed.
The people who are getting baptized in that, they're there early. Yeah, they're there early.
She's gonna be there to receive.
Yeah, that's, but, so she has to be there at 8.
We're gonna wait until
That's
our
what,
wedding.
and so am
So
I.
we got our first
I
communion
feel
together.
it's
Okay,
at
so
9, she has to be there at 8.
Yeah.
and
hard for me to hear over this one.
Yes, it
Hey,
is.
Paula, have you been to confession? Have you ever been to confession?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know that. And you'll need to make a confession before, sometime in May 16th, sometime.
Is it this Saturday coming up?
No, it's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Easter is 3 weeks from.
The Saturday before Easter.
But I'll check on Paul. Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't know you were doing your community. So I'll check on that for you.
Yeah. Easter is Sunday, April 4th, so the Easter Vigil will be Saturday, April 3rd.
We'll find out, you get your first communion on Easter.
I didn't say that, I said she's
No, she's faking it.
My oldest grandson's gonna be 28.
She,
So let's close with our Father. In the name of the Father,
right?
Son,
Son of the Holy Spirit.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Next week, we do the last 2 commandments.